And I do watch, like, now I'm more in tune to it. I'll see the new caddies who like sit there and just don't say a word as like us longer tenured guys kind of dominate the room. And then I think back to, actually, I wasn't as deferential. I thought it was okay to talk to people. And
you were so loud. I remember you in the shack. I was like, this guy does not shut up.
Caddy Tales Podcast. I'm Mark the Caddy, joined as always by my sidekick, colleague, friend, fellow looper Nick, and we're excited to talk to you about how the game of golf and the game of life intersect, and we can learn lessons in both arenas, help us grow as golfers, but most importantly, hopefully, grow as people. We were on the course today with my players who are heading to a trip in Scotland coming up, and they were saying how, man, the dad was saying to his son, I need to get you some zero restriction wear. And I said, well, why don't you use the promo code BestBall20 that we talk about here on the Caddy Tales podcast. So nice plug there. Yeah. And you can get yourself some good zero restriction wear. So hopefully they are listening and taking advantage of that. And then also all of you go to zerorestriction.com, put in the promo code BestBall20, and you can get the best rain gear for all of your needs. All right, we are also joined today, Nick and I, by a new looper out at Whistling Straits, Ty, and we are excited to have you with us, Ty. I believe, if I am correct, Nick, who is a nurturer by definition, trained you. Yeah. And has gotten to know you a little bit. And so he thought it would be good to have you come on and talk about life as a first-year caddy, at least at our location. But with all of that said, why don't you just tell us how you got to us? Give me your backstory briefly.
Yeah. Since out of high school, and in reality, I was in Florida. I finished up at USF in Tampa. I did some service industry, and I just really needed to go back to the place I love the most, and that was the golf course. And my friend was caddying at Sawgrass. I met him, and he wasn't coming back to Black Wolf this year, but we still kept in contact after 2 years, and he kind of put me on the Straits, and it was cool. It's kind of like it all led to that spot. I fell in love with golf. It was kind of my first love. So now to be out there playing with people, it's cool. And to see them out there hitting the ball is always great. So
Yeah. Hey, Nick, I got to thinking about this as, we prepared to have Ty on. Do you even remember what it was like to be in your first year out at the Straits anymore? What's a memory you have of being a new caddy?
Well, my first two loops are probably the most memorable loops I've ever had. The first loop I caddied for a gentleman that works at Whistling Straits, who is now the head pro at Whistling Straits. So he had worked as an assistant at Whistling Straits at the time, and I was caddying for him as my first loop ever, and I'm like, what in the world am I going to tell this guy about the golf course that he doesn't already know? Like, I'm literally just carrying his bag out here. Like, this is so stupid. But he was, like, incredibly gracious and super nice. And I was so shocked that he gave me over the suggested minimum at the end of the round. So that was pretty incredible, to be honest. And then my second loop ever, I caddied for a guy from Holland, and I guess it's not customary to tip there, is what I learned. So I had to learn that one the hard way, unfortunately. So, luckily that doesn't happen too much anymore. But, those are pretty memorable loops.
Yeah. One you'd like to forget, I guess. I was just struck today. We were on the 14th hole of our course. And for guys who are hitting the ball longer from certain tee boxes, that just changes the line that you ordinarily give. And I was thinking back. I specifically thought about my first year caddying. I'm like, I don't think I ever actually corrected the line. I think I just always said, hit it those bushes, because, that's how you learned it and whatever. And my point is there's so much more that, I know about the golf course, so much more comfortable, think easier. And back then I was just trying to survive physically and I was scared, my first ever loop was for a single bag on the Irish course. That's kind of how they started us out. And it was for a guy from Savannah, Georgia, super nice guy. I remember him being a good player. And I think that he just took it easy on us. But then my second day, this is one thing that'll always stick out with me. So I didn't even understand our scheduling process. And I was in early on a Friday morning. And now that I look back on it, I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember how busy we were. And I should have known this was coming, but I didn't. We were sent right out. I was sent out with one of our more gruff veteran caddies.
Yeah.
And, studs playing, and I'm exhausted. These guys knew 10 times more about golf than me. I wasn't with the most nurturing mentor out there, and I'm exhausted. And they came out on a cart as we were finishing and telling us we're going to go right again. And I did not even know that was a possibility that we would do 2 loops in a day. Like I didn't
double on your first day.
I did not understand the process of how everything worked. And so I legit did not know when I went in that day that the potential was there to go 2 loops. And I'm not kidding, when I was like peeling my fingers back because they were seizing up on me and I could barely walk. And I had to say to the manager, like, I can't do this, and so that's, pretty humbling and embarrassing. But now, now knowing is half the battle, I guess. But anyways, so I empathize with the young guys.
Yeah.
And Ty, I hope people like Nick and then myself, and then there's some others are there to really help make you feel comfortable and help you, grow as a caddy and, do your best. So, I think I'd be interested to hear though, what's been the best thing so far? What have you enjoyed the most?
I mean, it's from round to round. Honestly, I really enjoy when that person hits the shot or makes the putt and you see the joy in their face. It's just, that was the most important thing every round, is just to see that once or twice. But I don't know. I mean, I had a guy shoot a 76 the other day and it was really smooth. We were really dialed in with the putt reading. That was nice. But one of my first loops, yeah, he shot really well, and it was cool. I would tell him to fade it off of this or draw it off of that or knock it down here, and he was just killing it. But really, it's just seeing the joy in people's faces. That's the best thing for me.
Right. And, a lot of times it doesn't even have to do with the shot. It can be a good shot that does it. But like today, I was with a father and son, and the father did not have a good round at all. He, very poor. And, but being out there with his son was everything for him. That's what it was about. So I really appreciate that kind of interaction with the people as well. What's been the biggest challenge, Ty?
Man, I would say being able to communicate properly, not trying to under-communicate or over-communicate, just get to the proper point and say what you need to say, and trying to find that balance. And, but I will say those greens out there, that was hard for a minute. They're pretty tricky. So
Yeah,
that's good. I really think that's super important. That I'm glad you realize that that a lot of younger caddies don't realize is that you can absolutely over communicate. You can't give them too much information. Like we call it paralysis by analysis, and it's it's good you realize that, man.
And you get better at like reading your players to know, because sometimes it's a skill thing, like how much information you want to give, but sometimes they don't even want it. Sometimes they want a ton, but they would not even be possibly able to carry out the shot. I was out the other week. I've actually caddied a number of times so far this season with new caddies, either new totally or new to our course. And we're on our 11th hole, which is a par 5. And the second shot, for the non-big hitters, It's just you're just trying to lay up to a certain spot. Okay, like there's a hill that you can get down. And I was laughing because my player, literally my communication was, hit it to the bottom of that hill. The other caddy, who was a new caddy, had players who were horrendous. And he's going on this long explanation about a ridge and a bug. You know, it's like, just hit it to the bottom of the hill, you know, and so, yeah, you certainly don't want to. There are some players who would feel cheated if you didn't like give them all this, geek them out, I guess, is what I would think. But, yeah, you definitely, I'm glad you brought that up, because if I was to say, what's the one thing I would train better in new caddies is, how to communicate more effectively for the non-golf stuff, you know, how to shake hands and look people in the eye and, you know, appear interested in all that. But also then communicate less when it comes to the golf stuff, so that people can just step up and hit the ball, not have so much in their head. That's for sure the one thing that I see really, really is a trait of the new caddies. And I think that that's something, as I look back, Nick, when I asked, do you have any memories of being a new caddy? I totally can see how I probably did that as a new caddy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're a communicator extraordinaire. So yeah, I could see you trying to.
But I certainly like to, shoot the bull with people.
Yeah.
But I definitely now know how to like give them the information in a very quick way for caddy. Yeah. There was one caddy yesterday, a guy who I caddied with last year for his first year. And he has a friend that he brought up this year from Texas. And I was caddying with that friend yesterday. And so this young guy was funny because he tells this new caddy how fast I am. You know, I am not fast physically.
Agreed.
However, the point he was making was how I know how to move. You know, I know how to get from one thing to the next, and I'm efficient.
Yes.
And then this caddy is not. So by comparison, you looked pretty good. So that brought back memories that, that's something that kind of hampers them. Ty, what's your impression of the other caddies so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen a couple different types. There are people who are really, really happy about the day, and the position. And, there are other people who, they're great, but they might not be as stoked as some people are, having a good time, talking, laughing in the Caddyshack, but it's cool. I mean, it's a pretty cool fostering like spot inside that Caddyshack. And if you need any help with anything, you just ask somebody. And if you don't want to talk golf, you don't have to talk golf. Like, it doesn't always have to be golf. And so, it's pretty cool. People, they're all cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The shack is awesome. Yeah.
You veterans though are
kind of intimidating. Yeah. I think that's something that's certainly true. I do watch, like, now I'm more in tune to it. I'll see the new caddies who like sit there and just don't say a word, as like us longer tenured guys kind of dominate the room. And then I think back to, actually, I wasn't as deferential. I thought it was okay to talk to people. And
you were so loud. I remember you in the shack. I was like, this guy does not shut up.
See, that's not even true.
I didn't like you at first, to be honest.
Yeah, but I think that is actually, I do think the Caddyshack is interestingly a place where being friendly is sometimes seen as a character defect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to be too boisterous at first, you kind of want to like ease yourself into it.
For sure. But like, you just figure you can join in on the conversation. Well, you learn that there's a progression that takes place. And, I certainly see, some, because I also see the flip side. And so I get it a little more, is there are some younger caddies who come in who are totally cocky and think they're going to like go out and make $500 every loop because, their players are going to think they give the best reads and whatever. And that's not really how it works.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I hate when like, this is kind of kind of too much, but I hate when like newer caddies like give like crap information that's like not true at all, and like they're making up facts about the course, and I'm like, oh wait, I had been here 16 years, I hadn't heard that one yet. But yeah,
but you learn there's certain wives' tales that like do make their way down to the caddies,
for sure,
and then, and then they start to like the what's one? Well, DJ's waist bunker, which we get asked about all the time, that like that now it's gone. And stuff. The whole that hill on the Irish course on 11. People say there's school buses buried underneath there or whatever. And they start talking about it. Have you heard that one, Ty?
No, I have not. That's wild.
Yeah. So you'll hear people talking about it as fact because somehow that story's been passed down to them or whatever, and you'll kind of chuckle a little bit. Yeah, that's for sure. That'll happen. I hopefully, Ty, you're feeling welcomed and comfortable. But yeah, it can be an intimidating place for sure. And there's a lot of ego in the room. Have you noticed that? Like every caddy thinks they've never missed a read on the putting green or whatever. And
it's definitely there. I mean, some people are better, but that's definitely there.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. What's something you'd love to improve on as you get more experience? Like, what's something that maybe you're feeling like I can already see this is going to be this is something I'm just not comfortable with, and I'd love it to become second nature?
The efficiency aspect is massive. You know, just just being able to move the whole course along, people in front of you, people behind you, just being efficient. That's something that I think takes reps. But yeah, I mean, I think just working better with the other caddy as a full team, not feeling so isolated as your own person, and they're isolated as their own person. So yeah, just the teamwork aspect there.
Yeah, and as you make friends, you'll learn who you really want to get out there on a loop with, and how you can. I had an instance the other day where I was out with a newer guy though, and I gave a line off the tee box, and if I was caddying with Nick, even it would have been like, I can't even remember. He's like, okay, hit it at that bush or whatever. All right. And even if Nick didn't like it, you wouldn't, unless it was some egregious thing, you would correct it. And so then this caddy 3 different times during the loop was like, I kind of like, and he'd give a spot 5 yards to the right of it or whatever. And you're like, what are you trying to do here? Players don't like that, but it was like almost like he felt like he had to add value or something. And and so I love, and so don't forget what you just said. I love working as a team with the other caddy out there. I do not like it as much when you're 2 guys just out for yourselves. For sure, I like to work. You would agree with that, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think that's an incredibly important aspect, and I try to teach that when I'm training caddies. To tell them like, you're a team out there. If you guys rake in the bunker, try to get the flag stick, try to grab a read, try to watch some balls. Try to help them out as much as you can. Just kind of stay busy and you're literally a team. So yeah.
Yeah, and don't really contradict the other caddy unless it's just like, and even if you do that, it's like you just go up to your player quietly and say,
I think it's playing 145. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like that line's for the shorter hitters. You're a beast, so we're just going to take you a little bit. Do that quietly, but it's like, I think that, sometimes like you'll step up to a par 3 and he'll be like, it's 150. A little downhill, a little downwind. I think it's probably playing like 135. And the other caddy, you never be the caddy who's like, actually, I think it's playing 133 and a half. Yeah.
Sure.
That's miserable. So,
I have a question for Ty.
Yeah.
Have you been offered a chop with any veterans yet?
I have. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
For those out there, unfamiliar with that term, a chop is just your 2 caddies, 4 players, and you and the other caddy agree you're just splitting whatever. Because sometimes it's like, especially if it's 2 different twosomes, who don't know each other. Mm-hmm. You're both doing the same job. You trust the other caddy's good. Mm-hmm. And one has a husband and wife retired couple who aren't generally, known for unleashing. And others got like some entrepreneur who's baller. Higher than a kite and wants to look like a big shot. And so you agree to split and just cut it down the middle. And and some guys will do it, and some guys will never do it with a new guy.
Yeah, it's a sign of acceptance, Ty. Way to go.
No, I chopped with the veteran.
Really? You offered him? Wow, that's a bold play.
So it was a player of his gave me more money than he gave that guy. And then my players gave me extra money. And I was just like, let's just split it, man. Let's just split it up.
Way to go. Yeah. There you go. Nice job, Ty.
Yeah, yesterday I was with a new guy, and I don't think he knew what it was to do what we're talking about. And we were on a master loop. For those of you out there, that means it's like a corporate loop, and the tips paid, not by the players. But sometimes the players will give extra on top of that. And so my player did, and then his player gave me some money too. So I only had one bag because one of the players didn't show up in the group. Uh-huh. And he had two, and I ended up getting more in cash than he did. And so I gave him money. I gave him the money that his player gave me.
Oh, that's nice.
And he looked like shocked, like, what's this? And I'm like, it's how we build a brotherhood, man, Mm-hmm. And so you try to take care of each other out there because, like, some days it's luck of it's golf bag lottery, it's luck of the draw. And then also, if you see somebody's having a hard time, you should try to help them out there instead of leaving them out there on an island.
Right.
And so hopefully you're surrounding yourself by the right people like Nick here to train you to have the right mindset and stuff. How was Nick as a trainer?
He was good. Yeah, he was good. And it was nice. Like my second loop, I think I had him with me, so that helped out a lot.
Nice. Good.
I felt bad, it was early in the year. He was carrying two bags. And he's looking a little tired, and he's like, "Hey, if you're getting close to that flag, because I think you guys got one bag, you could pull that flag, right?"
Wow, nice.
No, it was great. He's cool. Yeah,
that's sweet.
Good. Yeah, no, he's got a nice way about him. So, yeah. All right. So, Ty, we have a little segment on this show that we call Good Caddy, Bad Caddy. And we like to look at something we did during the last week that, we did well, and something that maybe we didn't do so well. So we want to include you in on that if you can think of anything. But yeah, I'll start with Good Caddy. And it's funny because we just talked about on a recent episode, how would we advise new caddies about if they had a certain situation? And one of them was, because we've seen a lot more international players this year, one of them was, what if you have somebody who doesn't speak English or much English? Mm. And I made the comment that I had never had that. I've never had somebody who had no English. Well, of course, the other day I have people who don't speak much English. Yeah. So some folks from Japan. It was delightful.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, I kind of loved it. And I think I'm kind of built for that kind of stuff, man. And
really?
But what was cute was, so I had the women, and it was awesome because the other caddy wanted the men, thinking he was going to make out better, for the loop. No, I did not look for a golf ball that day. I did not step out of the fairway. And these women were, and then after the fourth hole, so we're finishing the fourth hole, there's an indoor bathroom. And since we have ladies, you make note there's an indoor bathroom.
Yeah, of course.
The men were not very good, and so we were a little slow. The group behind us was coming up on us. So I happened to make the comment slowly, because they didn't have the best English. They're catching up to us from behind, so hopefully we can use it quickly. What these women heard was, we are now going to run to our ball between every shot for the rest of the round. Oh, no. We are going to take more seriously pace of play than any group has ever taken pace of play seriously before.
Oh, wow.
They were such a delight.
Nice.
And with a couple holes to go, I showed them the radar. We couldn't get the men moving, though. That was a problem.
Yeah.
And there was a storm moving in. And the women are like sprinting to finish. And if I would have had just him, I would have been great. But the men we just couldn't get it through to him, and so it poured on us on the last hole. But anyway, I had one lady who on the 6th hole, the flag was in a very tough spot over on the right side of the green. For those of you who have ever played our course, on that hole, if that's the case, it's real hard. And she was off the green just on the left. She chips it to within a foot from over there. Then we go to the 7th hole. She hits the pin and ends up an inch away.
Par 3, wow.
And from a hole in one. And I'm like, oh, you made a memory. Well, I don't think that was part of her vocabulary, the word memory. So now then, a couple of times I'm hearing this rapid Japanese speaking, and then giggle, oh, the memory. So it was awesome. And then the other thing that I thought was funny is they would speak super rapid Japanese, and then you heard the word bogey or bogey. So there must not be Japanese words for those things.
Doesn't translate.
But I was like, I really thought I approached this with a good attitude and had fun with it and did it. I loved it.
Awesome.
What did you do good this week, Nick?
Well, yesterday I caddied for a friend of Mark the Caddy, Scott from Illinois. Awesome guy, loved him. And he went out and shot a 72 on our course on an incredibly windy day and birdied 18, which if you listen to the program, is not the easiest thing in the world. I actually told him, if you birdie 18, I'll kiss the other caddy on the mouth. And I did not live up to my end of the bargain. Sorry, Scott, if you're listening. But yeah, that was amazing. And I don't even know if I did anything to really help him too much, to be completely honest. He was just an awesome guy. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ty, what about you?
Man. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've been amplifying more of the things that I've done negatively. So,
yeah,
I think
be careful about that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I don't know. I think just having open discourse with the players, I noticed there was some times where I was just talking too much and like giving too much of my analyzation of this specific scenario, and I looked at him like, tell me to shut up, tell me to back off, tell me to just chill out and give you what you want. He's like, just give me a number. Yeah, I want a number, I want a spot, that's all I need. I'm like,
there you go.
All right. So I worked that out through the round. That was it was good.
Good.
Yeah. Cool. Bad caddy for me. So I'm caddying for this guy and his son and whatever, and we're talking, and as often happens, the group they asked me about like people who are hard to caddy for or whatever. And it's just become a thing where, and if you got any listeners out there, prove me wrong. But people who went to Duke, just there's something about them, No. So anyway, I said to him, we were having a great round, and it was just a 2-ball. It was just me and them out there, and I said, I'll pay anyone who went to Duke to not have to caddy for him. And the son goes, well, that rules out, and I can't remember who, but it was his brother who went to Duke Law School. Okay, so they knew, and I'm like, oh, graduate school's different. And it's the undergrads. It's like Michigan. It's the undergrads, that are elitists or whatever. And this dad thought it was funny. It was good, but because he knew exactly what I was talking about. And but I'm like, okay, that's a reminder to not get too comfortable and loose-lipped, because you never know what somebody's backstory is, and you don't want to cause undue offense. So hey. You know what? If you went to Duke and you're listening to this, shoot me a DM and I'll send you a free Caddy Tails hat as a peace offering. All
wow,
right.
Nice.
Yeah, right.
That's a good deal.
Yeah.
So I probably, even after all these years, I've got to manage my expectations better. I mean, some guy told me he was a president of some major corporation. In my head, I'm thinking, we're going to make some good money today, and then you get to the end, and unfortunately, it doesn't turn out to be that way. But if you just kind of expect nothing, you don't get disappointed when you get nothing, right?
Gosh. Okay, that's maybe not the biggest pep talk that we want to be given here.
Come on.
So yeah. But yeah, I get it. You just got to take the good with the bad, is what I think.
Yeah.
You can't get too high and too low. That's for sure. Ty, anything? You said you're amplifying the negative. We don't want to pile on, so
No, for sure. Yeah, I'm 3-0 for matchups, like my group versus the other caddies group this year.
There we go.
And my last loop 2 days ago, I was definitely the last 3 holes getting really on my team's side and kind of, I don't know, it wasn't so bad I was against the other team, but you get too close to the players, you get too involved in the game. It was kind of just like,
Emotional.
all right, I need to take a step back. I'm getting a little too intense here. Like,
yeah.
maybe
Well, I always find it hard, betting on not betting, but whatever, just having some sort of match where you're invested. Like, I don't know where that ball's going half the time or whatever. So it's like, how invested can I be, I guess? Because I'm just hoping it goes somewhere where we don't have to walk up a hill or go digging into a bunch of rough. I'm happy enough when that's the case. So whether they win the match or not doesn't tend to be high on my list. So, although Nick, you and I had, we had a match against each other. Who won that one?
Oh, please get out of here. We're playing next week, so.
Well, we're playing, and who won that last year?
You won. I mean, well, your partner won.
No. Who we play as a team? Who won?
You and your partner. Emphasis on partner.
Yeah. Gosh, you're angry. Yeah. All right. Before we close, Ty, anything you want to ask or say before we're done? As a new caddy, this is your chance to get 1 ounce of wisdom more out of Nick or even myself, but probably just Nick.
Oh shoot.
You don't have to.
Yeah,
I
don't know. Whoever's listening, come play the Straits.
There you go.
Check it out.
Look at
request
that.
Nick. Request now. Okay, maybe not. But no, get out there, have a good time, and
yeah. Mm-hmm. Nick had a guy who shot 72, so that's pretty amazing. So, definitely get Nick. And hey, if you want to get a eager, new, enthusiastic caddy, we got Ty for you. He's ready to do a great job. And I think Ty is going to remind you the same thing that Nick and I like to remind you every week, and this applies certainly to the golf course, but more importantly to life. No matter how out of bounds, no matter how many misses or shanks or deep the bunker, no matter how dark and gloomy it seems, on this side of the ground, there's always a next shot full of hope and opportunity. So take yours.